I'm Tomoko Kudo, a 30-year-old office worker. I'm also a mother and a wife in some sense. The reason why I say in some sense is that I'm separated from my husband. My husband's name is Takanari. I kicked him out after I discovered his affair with the other woman. My husband said, "It was just a fling, I'll never do that again." As he would call me every day, but I never picked up. Even though I'm still angry, I can see his sincerity. He's been paying for our living expenses after the separation. He also misses our daughter, who just turned 5. He cares and wants to know how she's doing. I can tell how much he loves our daughter. My daughter loves him too.
Why don't you come home, Daddy? I miss you so much.
After a while, I felt our daughter needed her father after all. So I decided to wait a bit longer and see if my husband was genuinely sorry for what he had done. If so, I'd be willing to give him a second chance. But my husband wasn't the only problem I was facing. My daughter stays at the daycare while I work during the day. It's a small daycare center, so there are not many children. As a result, the moms often interact with each other. We would take care of each other's children and help each other out. We also have regular dinner parties and tea parties to talk about our problems. I was grateful to be in such a helpful community. But soon, a dark shadow began to cast over it. One day, a 3-year-old boy, Kosuke, entered the daycare. That was when I met his mother.
Hi, I'm Kane Hasede. Nice to meet ya.
She's a very young mom, the youngest of all of us. Because she acted a little frivolous when we first met, I had the impression that she was a flirtatious young woman. But young moms are quite common nowadays, so we all welcomed her admirably. Kanai quickly adjusted to the new environment. She started to attend our tea parties and dinners. Our enjoyable gatherings were supposed to continue as usual, but... Hey, what do you think about Kanai? Oh, are you talking about the money? She's young, so I thought it was inevitable at first. But it happened too frequently. If I remember correctly, Tomoko has only paid once, right? Yes, I think. Did she ever pay you back? No, not yet. Did she pay you, Suzuki? Not at all. It's like she's totally forgotten about it. I knew it. It's just the cost of some tea and food, so it's not that much money. But that's not the point. We should probably ask her for our money back. Problems like this occurred multiple times. When it came to the payment at tea parties and dinners, Kanai always needed help to pay the bill. It may just be a small amount each time, but it adds up to a larger amount. I was worried Kanai's behavior could lead to a big commotion one day.
I'm sorry, but I usually use electronic payment methods, so I don't carry cash with me.
She'd always say something like this when it was time to pay. Even though everyone in our mom group usually split the bill at our gatherings, it was uncomfortable asking someone to pay when they didn't have money. However, this time, one of the mom friends said, "Well then, Kanai, could you pay the bill electronically? We'll transfer our payment to you." I thought it was a great idea when I heard her suggestion, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have enough money to cover the total.
So we had to give up on making her pay. Everyone else covered her bill in the end. But she quickly forgot about it again. It's so hard to ask for her money back. There were other problems beside that. She was always late and never seemed to feel sorry about it. She would always say to other moms who were older than her,
Oh, I see. You don't understand the younger generation's lifestyle.
And she never thought what she said was inappropriate. It amazed me how she perceived the way she acted as normal. Even when we looked confused and didn't know what to say, she would just nod her head and think everything was fine. In short, she's generally insensitive. Or rather, she's a very inconsiderate person. I wondered what her husband was like. One day, I finally met Kanai's husband at a parent visit day. Kanai's husband said to us,
"Thank you very much for all the help you've given my wife. My wife can be a bit careless sometimes, but everyone has been so helpful and nice."
Kanai's husband looked slightly older than Kanai. and he seemed to be a very polite and sensible man. I thought maybe he was the kind of husband who does a lot of things at home, but it was the opposite. He was busy with work and often traveled, so he's not at home that much. In other words, he had little chance to participate in Kanai's daily activities, so he didn't understand the seriousness of the situation. If Kanai kept making everyone pay for her, everyone's dissatisfaction would build up and explode someday. I decided to talk to Kanai about it. So I asked her out for tea. It's fine that we cover your bill, but you should remember to pay everyone back. You see, it's hard for us to ask you for the money. But her response was,
What? Do people really get angry over such small things? Why didn't anyone tell me earlier then? How was I supposed to know?
she made it sound like it was our fault. Of course, I was very irritated by her attitude. The good thing was, Kanai paid the money back to everyone afterward. She also started to carry cash to our gatherings. She probably would never do that if I didn't talk to her. So her mom group decided to be blatant with her in the future. After we reached a consensus, I thought the matter was settled. However, Kanai, do you have a minute now?
Yes, what is it?
Have you heard about our annual event?
No, what is that?
Well, every year around this time, all the mom friends would go on a trip together.
Really? Sounds like fun!
We have to figure out ways to let someone help take care of our own kids at home. It's a 2-day trip just for us to relax.
I'm definitely going.
We're thinking of going to Korea this year. And we'll probably book a package tour.
That's totally fine.
Just make sure you're on time and everything.
Of course! I'll try my best to arrive on time.
Since it was a yearly mom group activity, I also invited Kanai to join our group. Once a year, we leave the kids at home with their husbands or parents, and we take a 2-day, 1-night trip together. Because I was separated from my husband, I thought I couldn't make it this year. But my husband was considerate and offered to take care of our daughter. So I decided to take advantage of the opportunity. My daughter was also excited to spend time with her father for the first time in a while. I asked Kanai to join us because I kind of felt obligated to do so. I wondered if she would come since we had just had a dispute over money the other day. But she was more enthusiastic than I expected and decided to join us immediately. The money and time spent on a trip were far more than what we spent at dinner and tea parties. Seemed like everything would go smoothly this time, but I still had a bad feeling in my heart. On the day of the trip, after we all gathered at the airport, my bad hunch turned out to be true. Where are you, Kanai?
I'm sorry, I just woke up.
What? Are you still at home?
Sorry.
What do you mean by sorry? It's past our meeting time. Our plane takes off in a few minutes.
Oh no, it's that time already? I'll be right there. Can you wait for me?
I can't keep the plane waiting. There's no way I can do that. Everyone has boarded the plane.
Can you just take another flight?
As I told you, we booked a package tour. Did you realize that there are other people in this tour group besides us? I'm sorry, but you can't make it now.
No, I was so looking forward to the trip. You can't do this to me.
Kanai was late again on the day of our trip. We probably could have waited for her if it was just a regular trip, but as I explained many times to her, we were in a tour group. There were other people in the tour group besides us. I couldn't ask them to wait. Since Kanai said she had just woken up, it'd take more than an hour for her to get to the airport, even if she hurried. So I told the tour conductor that we had to leave Kanai behind. The trip itself was fun. We had a nice, relaxing time. I didn't even have time to think about Kanai. She needed to be responsible for her own behavior. A few days after returning from the trip, I felt bad and went to Kanai's house with a souvenir. She greeted me with a grim look on her face, and the first thing she said was,
"Is it a habit for you to leave people behind? I told you to wait for me, didn't I?"
I explained again that it was a package tour and there were other people in the group, but she replied,
"Well then, everyone should have waited for me. Why did you leave me out of the group and go without me?"
She started making extremely unreasonable accusations, which made me very angry. "I'll never plan a trip with you again." I stormed out and messaged other mom friends about what Kanai said. The conflict between Kanai and her mom group finally came to the surface. We had fewer and fewer interactions with her. But since our kids still had to go to the same daycare, we needed to maintain a relationship no matter what. However, Kanai soon drove things in an unbelievable direction. The daycare had another parent visit day. I was there, of course, as well as other mom friends in Kanai. Kanai's husband also came. He was in a good mood and had a big smile on his face. Each of the parents rejoiced at the children's growth. It was supposed to be such a peaceful and happy day.
Sorry, I'm late.
My husband Takanari was late when he arrived. We were still in separation at that time. My daughter missed her dad a lot, so I asked him to come as well. I wanted to thank him for taking care of our daughter during my trip to Korea. I was even considering using the visit day as an opportunity to end our separation. But when Takanari and Kanai saw each other, my husband was clearly shocked to see Kanai and started shouting at her.
Wait! Didn't you say you were single? What are you doing here? Who's that guy next to you?
Kanai's face turned pale and she tried to explain in a shaky voice.
Well, it's not what you think.
Everyone was surprised by what they heard. I almost couldn't control myself. What do you mean? Sounds like you two are more than acquaintances. My husband became speechless, but he could only blame himself for his tendency to speak without thinking. That was one of the reasons we separated. Kanai's husband, Keisuke, was baffled by the situation too.
Excuse me, but who are you? Can someone please tell me what's going on?
I'm sorry, this is my husband, Takanari Kudo. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe they can explain it themselves. However, Takanari and Kanai stopped talking to each other. When a man and a woman who know each other look at each other awkwardly, people can already get a rough idea of what is going on. I couldn't believe my husband was having an affair with Kanai. Then the situation became even more complicated.
Wait a minute! Didn't you say you'll be with me after you leave your husband? What's going on between you and that man? Don't tell me you've been dating someone else too!
Mr. Takamiya, a young daycare teacher, suddenly intervened. Naturally, that caused another uproar among all the parents. The peaceful, loving atmosphere at the daycare suddenly turned into unprecedented chaos. Other parents and teachers were all stunned but soon regained their composure. They sent the three of them to another room. The headmaster and other experienced teachers all came. They talked to Kanai, Takanari, and Mr. Takamiya separately. I went to listen to what Takanari had to say, and Kanai's husband, Keisuke, went with Kane. Just like I guessed, Kanai was having an affair with my husband. My husband somehow thought that Kanai was single. Kanai knew my husband had a wife, but she had no idea it was me. The world is so small sometimes. The whole thing was like a nightmare to me. Everyone in the room sighed in disbelief and covered their faces with their hands. While Kanai was having an affair with my husband, she also cheated with Mr. Takamiya, a teacher from the daycare. According to Mr. Takamiya, he was in a committed relationship with Kanai. Kanai promised to get married to Mr. Takamiya after she divorced her husband and got custody of their son. Mr. Takamiya even considered switching jobs to provide them with a better life. The sudden turn of events left everyone speechless. We had never imagined such a melodrama-like situation would actually happen in real life, not to mention being a part of it. It was truly unexpected. Because of my husband's affair, I became the center of the gossip. But at this point, I started to feel like I was watching someone else's drama and was no longer part of it. So I became surprisingly calm. My husband kept his head down the whole time. I guess he was too embarrassed to look anyone in the eye. As the biggest victim, Kanai's husband Keisuke said,
You're going to move back to your parents' home as soon as possible!
Please, I promise it won't happen again.
Kanai tried to beg for forgiveness, but it didn't work.
I'll send you your belongings and the divorce papers later. And of course, I'll take custody of our son. We won't have anything to do with you anymore.
No, I don't want a divorce. I love you the most, Keisuke. I love you, please.
Kanai's desperate repentance failed to change Keisuke's mind.
I'm so sorry for all the trouble we've caused. I'll apologize to everyone properly at a later date.
Then he bowed and left with his son. My husband and I divorced after that. The reason for our separation was Takanari's affair with some other woman, and during our separation, he started having an affair with Kanai. I can't believe I thought about getting back together with him. It was not easy to endure the harsh reality. I knew the relationship between Takanari and I could no longer be repaired, so I demanded spousal and child support in a lump sum. And I sent him divorce papers without caring about what he thought. Keisuke later told me that he had demanded compensation from Mr. Takemiya, but he said, "My wife lied about being single and didn't demand any compensation from my ex-husband Takanari." He's such a good man. Of course, Mr. Takemiya got fired from the daycare. The rumors about him spread fast among daycare centers. He'll never get a job at daycares ever again. As for Kanai, Keisuke filed for divorce and requested compensation from her. He also got full custody of their son. After Keisuke explained the situation to Kanai's parents, they got furious and kicked Kanai out of their house. No one has been able to reach Kanai since then. Well, Keisuke earns enough money that he doesn't need to worry, even if he doesn't receive compensation and child support. So he's probably okay with losing contact with Kanai. I guess Kanai remained a speed thrift till the very end. By the way, the reason why I know so much about Keisuke is that, after we both became single parents, we helped each other when we were in need. After his divorce, Keisuke wanted to spend as much time with his son as possible. So he transferred to a department that didn't require him to go on business trips. Even so, he was still always the last to pick up his son from the daycare. I saw Keisuke almost every day when I picked up my daughter after work. Because my daughter, Chieko, and Keisuke's son, Kosuke, always stayed at the daycare until the latest, they naturally became good friends. Chieko is 2 years older than Kosuke, so she cares for him like a big sister.
To be honest, I'm done with dating.
Me too. I think I won't be dating anyone for a while.
But if it's partners in raising children, then maybe we should give it a try, Tomoko.
He blushed when he said that. I was tempted, but it was too early to decide. How about the four of us go to the amusement park this Sunday?
Sure! I'd love to.
The story of how we became a family of four is for another time.